It's day 3 of Amonkhet preview season. Let's see what cards we've got. Oh god. Oh no. Are you serious? Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have a new Gideon. Let's put him up over here. He's a 1 colorless, 2 white for a 3 loyalty planeswalker. Its +1 ability is until your next turn, prevent damage from target permanent. Its 0 is its usual, which is Gideon becomes a 4 for indestructible. It's still a planeswalker and can swing out. And then its last 0 is it creates an emblem, and as long as you have a Gideon on the field, you can't lose the game and your opponent can't win the game. Okay? Gideon tribal right here, ladies and gentlemen. Someone at Wizards must really love Gideon. And that's not like saying it for me. That's like there are 3 Gideons in standard. So a possible 12 Gideons in a single deck. And this emblem kind of like proves that theory. I just see like a mono white Gideon tribal deck now in standard. This is ridiculous. Obviously a limited bomb. Obviously if you have it in draft or anything, pick it. It's gonna be really good. I don't know about the viability so far just compared to the other Gideons out there, but it's still really good. I'm kind of half expecting this to be like a joke, but it's not. We have the Gideon from Zendikar, we have the Planeswalker deck Gideon from Amonkhet, and then we have this actual Planeswalker within the Amonkhet set. I'm assuming Jace is the other Planeswalker in this set too. We'll see probably tomorrow. But yeah, this is just silly. Moving on to some other cards, we've got Painful Lesson for 2 colorless and 1 black mana for a sorcery. Target player draws 2 cards and loses 2 life. Okay, so this is Live Fast for Amonkhet. Doesn't give you energy, but it's still pretty good. In limited, you're gonna pick it. In draft, it's probably a mid to low pick for you. It's always really good to get gas in your hand. And of course, its target opponent can draw 2 cards and lose 2 life, so you can actually use this as like a shock to your opponent if you just need 2 more damage to kill them. And I think that's where this card has a lot of utility. But moving on from that, we've actually got the preview card that we actually spoiled earlier today. It is Watchers of the Dead. It is a 2 colorless, 2/2 artifact creature cat. Exile Watchers of the Dead. Target opponent chooses 2 cards in his or her graveyard and exiles the rest. Finally, a Delirium Death Dealer. Although some people were like complaining because it doesn't necessarily get rid of Delirium if you have an artifact creature and then an Aftermath card in your graveyard, because that's an instant and sorcery and a creature in an artifact. But I haven't really seen any Aftermath cards that are like worthy of standard play just yet. So I don't really see that kind of being a reality just yet. Of course, in the future, there may actually be something with Aftermath that's worth playing, but I don't see it. But I think having that comparison there is really good. Obviously, people are kind of polarized by this card because it's just not Tormod's Crypt. But I think, regardless of that, it's a really good actual like answer to some of the standard formats of the graveyard interaction. I do think it will see some sideboard play probably. In limited, even without the actual graveyard interaction, just being a 2/2 for 2 bear with no downside is actually pretty good. I see this being like a 10th or 11th pick in draft. I see this being a pretty good card when you just need like, you know, your last little slot in your draft, in your sealed deck. I do think this will see play. Moving on to another card is Floodwaters is 4 colorless and 2 blue mana for a sorcery. Return up to 2 target creatures to their owner's hand. It also has cycling for 2. This is basically Essence Fracture, but more expensive on the front end and cheaper on the cycling end. I like that. I think this is definitely a limited pickable card. I think in draft it's going to be pretty good for a board state swing. This will never see any kind of standard play, but I do think that it's very strong and limited and sealed. Again, being able to bounce their creatures or even your creatures with enter the battlefield abilities is really good. But yeah, the cycling, again, deceptively good. Being able to have this in the early game, not need it, cycle it away, draw a card for some more value, or you have it in the early game, don't need it, and then you're gonna cycle it away again. So cycling gets a lot of utility. Next up, we've got the Trials and the Cartouches. So let's see what we've got. Trial of Solidarity is 2 colorless and 1 white mana for an enchantment. Whenever Trial of Solidarity enters the battlefield, target creatures you control get +2/+1 until end of turn. And all of the trials actually have the bounce ability, so whenever a cartouche comes into play, you can return the trial from your battlefield to your hand. I really like this Anthem effect. I do think it's going to see a lot of play in sealed and draft. I'm not so sure about it seeing any kind of standard play. I think it's just too weak on that end. But I do think it's very powerful for a board state swing. The bouncing ability as well in the sealed environment is actually ridiculous. Okay, so let's move on to the black trial. We've got the Trial of Ambition, 1 colorless, 1 black mana for an enchantment. Whenever Trial of Ambition enters the battlefield, target opponent sacrifices a creature. Okay, this card is good. Removal in the limited format is always good, but this card has the ability to be bounced bounce because of the cartouches, so that makes it like extra spicy. In standard, the Felidar Guardians and the Panharmonicons, I think this actually might have some like good interactions with that as well because it's so cheap, but we'll have to see. But I think this is actually a really good pick to play in sealed and maybe even standard. Moving on to the red trial, we've got the Trial of Zeal, which is 2 colorless and 1 red mana for an enchantment. Whenever Trial of Zeal enters the battlefield, deal 3 damage to target creature or player. Again, for 3 mana, pretty good in limited and in draft. The bouncing ability makes this card just stupid. I do like this card a lot, and I think it'll see a lot of limited play. Moving on to the green trial, you've got the Trial of Strength. It is a 2 colorless and 1 green mana for an enchantment. Whenever Trial of Strength enters the battlefield, create a 4/2 beast creature token. Okay, this card, I'm not really so sure. Creating a 4/2 is always good. I think in the limited and draft format, this is gonna be a really good tempo swing. Being able to get it back, of course, into your hand is gonna be really, really good for this. Being able to play another 4/2 is great. But you know, I just, there's something about it. It makes me just think that it's just not there yet. I don't know what it is. Let me know if you guys know in the comments below. But those are all the trials. We actually went over the blue one a couple days ago. So let's go through the cartouches. Cartouche of Knowledge is the blue cartouche. It is 1 colorless and 1 blue mana for an enchantment or a cartouche. When Cartouche of Knowledge enters the battlefield, draw a card. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and flying. I think this is actually really good. Only in limited and sealed and draft environments. Not standard. We're not going to talk standard for this card. But being able to give a +1/+1 and flying on a creature for just 2 mana is actually like really good for tempo swing and really good to be able to get in that last minute of damage. I do think the drawing ability is also very good. And of course, any of the interactions with the cartouches and trials with each other is just value Town City. Okay, so moving on to the green cartouche. Cartouche of Strength is here, and it is a 2 colorless, 1 green mana enchantment or a cartouche. When Cartouche of Strength enters the battlefield, enchanted creature may fight target creature opponent's control. Enchant creature, and enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and trample. Again, it's like both of the green ones are just not doing it for me. It's like right there. The +1/+1 and trample is good to be able to get that damage kind of across for the last little bits in the game. The fight ability is a May ability, and I'm kind of on the end where fight is good, but not like great. If you're up on tempo, this card is amazing. If you're behind, this card is terrible. But going to one that is probably the best one is the red enchantment. Cartouche of Zeal is actually 1 red mana for an enchantment or a cartouche. Whenever Cartouche of Zeal enters the battlefield, target creature can't block this turn. Enchant creature. Enchant creature gets +1/+1 and haste. Okay, this card is officially bananas. The tempo implications here, as well as the ability to get by their big blocker in the mid game, is very good. Again, this is only a sealed card, so you have this in your sealed and draft. I would not see this in a standard environment unless it's in some crazy mono red strategy. I'm not gonna put it past them for that. But I do think it's actually very, very solid. And finally, we've got the black cartouche. Cartouche of Ambition is a 2 colorless, 1 black mana enchantment or a cartouche. When Cartouche of Ambition enters the battlefield, you may place 1 -1/-1 counter on target creature. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and lifelink. I think this one is also very good. I don't think it's as good as the red one per se, but I think the synergy between the -1/-1 counters and the green creatures we talked about 2 days ago or yesterday has positive implications. And I also think being able to maybe kill a creature while this comes into play on your opponent's side of the field, just to get a blocker out of the way, is also very good. +1/+1 and lifelink, however, is not that great. In the mid game, it's a lot better. In the early game, I mean, it's okay. Making a 1/1 into a 2/2 for lifelink, I mean, that's good, but I don't think it's as good as, say, like haste or flying. Again, great sealed card. Not going to see any standard play. And that is it for today. Are you giddy about the new Gideon? White and red are getting a lot of really good cards in this set. And I'm sure a Gideon tribal deck is only an inevitability. But like the video if you liked it, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'll definitely interact with you. And subscribe for more MTGO Traders content in the future. I'll see you then.